So this is for you if you are a PhD aspirant who are yet to take admission in PhD, or those who have taken admission in PhD program, which is your case. You are admitted into the PhD program but exploring for the topic, right? And if you are thinking of writing a research article, then also it can be of use to us. And if you are constantly facing rejection, so for instance, you are writing to journals and the articles keeps on getting rejected, specifically desk rejections. So desk rejections means you have submitted an article and the editor has not sent it out for review, and straight away from his desk he or she has rejected it. So a lot of it can potentially be attributed to the topic that you are working on, right? So these can be, if you are suffering from any of these things, then it might be for you. Number one thing that I want to tell you, as far as my experience goes, it is a global phenomenon. So if you say that I am facing issues in deciding the topic and it is only with me, it is not the case. Everyone is facing this problem, right? And you are part of this larger community who is actually getting this question time and again. So if you will go into the world's best university, still it is a problem, right? So now the question is that how do we start it? And if this is that a big problem, then is there any solution to it? There is no straightaway solution to any problem whatsoever, but there are some steps which we can consciously take, right? So we have to take our decisions consciously, which can help us in decreasing the failure rate. We are not in any way guaranteeing that any process that you follow of deciding a PhD topic would actually land you to the stars. It is not the case. But you can just decrease your chances of committing errors, and you can just decrease your chances of submitting and facing rejections. This is what we can attempt for. We are not saying that it is a failure-proof system, so no system is failure-proof, right? What is the starting point? So let us try to look at it one by one. First, let's talk of that gut feeling. All of us have it, and we whenever you also, when you took admission in PhD program, you have also presented a proposal. And there are times when you say that this is my research interest area. You have created a proposal on that. Now the question is that your interest, whatever it is, in your field of study, is it important? Does that matter? This is the thing. Yes, it matters, but how it matters, we will be discussing on that. This also comes to your mind and you say that it is my gut feeling that I should work on this because I like this topic. So what is answer to that thing? You like a certain topic, does it matter? So I will say that no, it is not that you like and you should select that topic. So your liking can be any, but does that topic make sense? It can be another story altogether. Alright, so we need to understand and acknowledge this. Someone can also tell you that this is a good topic, that is a good topic. Now that you can take it as a feat, but then you still have to work on that. So suppose if today I tell you that this is the best topic to work on, no, it is just a feed, it is just a lead that you got. You need to further work on that. And therefore you have to do the homework. So all these things, your interest area, you like this topic and someone might have told you to work on XYZ or ABC, you still have to do your homework. So that is something which is very important. That epic debate of interesting versus important, this is that important. This is interesting to me. A while ago we were discussing this, that this is my interest area. You like a topic, you like an area, should you work in that or should you not work on that? So this is something that falls under the umbrella of interesting. This is interesting to you as a candidate. Now you need not to only look at it through the lens of your interest, but you also have to look at it whether it is important also or not. You might like something which is well documented in the literature, so that doesn't make sense, right? So you have to also look at its importance. So just don't look at your interest. Your interest needs to be clubbed with the importance of that topic. So when we say important, that means what? That means, is this topic live? Are we currently seeing papers on this topic? Will this topic be live for next 10 years? This is very important because you are doing PhD today, you have taken admission today, so maybe it will be good 4 to 5 years by the time you will be completing your PhD. So after that, real publication process starts. So if after 5 years your topic is a dead horse, there is no point in investing on it, right? So you need not to decide your topic by just looking at the today's present circumstances, but you also have to look at and you have to foresee what is going to happen with this topic in next at least 4 to 5 years, if not possible for you to get it to the extent of 10 years, right? Will it fill some gap in literature? This also we have to think of, and I will tell you how we can potentially do that. And is it making contribution to the existing literature? So when you answer these questions, you are actually looking at the importance of this topic. Is this actually important or not? So if any of these questions gets a no as an answer, so you are in trouble. So that means this topic might not be important, but you might like it, right? So you need to kind of deflect yourself from there. So I will tell you 8 steps which I think can be potentially followed when you are trying to select a topic. So all these 8 steps we will be going one by one, and then we will be discussing these steps in details. I will also be sharing with you an Excel template on which these 8 steps can be exercised, and then you can actually work this thing out and you can maybe have a better topic at hand, right? So what are these 8 steps? So first one is interest. So that first slide that I've shown you, that does it matter? The answer to that question was yes, it matters to you, because without interest you will not be able to give your time, energy to that topic. So you must not work on a topic which actually you do not like and which doesn't belong to you, right? Second step is sub-disciplines. Once you have identified your interest area, in that you have to identify the sub-disciplines which are associated with it. And then once you have done this, then you have to talk of literature. You have to dive into the literature. Every damn thing about that topic should be known to you and should be documented, and how it can be done we will discuss. Immersion, that would mean when you have already dived into the literature, that means that you have a pool of papers with you. So now you have to read each and every paper. You have to understand the papers, what these papers are talking about, what direction they are actually taking the topic towards. So all those things you must be aware. Then you have to identify the themes depending upon your this reading, and then you have to do the self-evaluation of these themes on multiple parameters, and I will be discussing with you what are these parameters. And then you have to give ranking to the themes and the parameters that you have just calibrated the earlier stuff that you have gathered as part of your literature review, and then you have to choose your topic, right? So these are 8 steps. And let us discuss these steps one by one. Let us come on to interest. The first thing. It is the first point where you start your selection of a research topic exercise. So we were talking what is the first step? The first step is to know your interest. Very important. I have already told it to you. If you do not have interest in anything, you will not be able to give your time and energy to it, and the output is not going to be the way it would have had it been into your own interest area, right? So it is important, it is damn important, but there is a caveat to it, and that caveat is that it is important only in the beginning. So just to give you a direction, right? So which means if you are a marketing man, there is no point in working in finance area. If you are a finance man, there is no point in working in marketing area. So interest, and in that marketing also there can be n number of things, right? So you have to know your interest. What is your interest? But you also have to realize and acknowledge at this point that your interest area is not your topic. It is still area. The word that we are using is interest area. It is not interest topic, right? So that means it will be broad. It is a broad area, right? So it should only be used in giving directions to your thought. So suppose I belong to marketing, so I will tell about marketing. So you can, I have written here examples also. So for instance, artificial intelligence in marketing, that can be your interest area. Hypothetically I am saying, right? So brand personality, it can be your interest area. Now you need to know this, and this is where from you have to start your work. You need to know this. The broader area, it is broad, right? It is starting point of this topic selection exercise, right? Now once you know your interest area, you have to funnel it down, and you have to find out the various disciplines associated with it, right? Your area was too broad. Artificial intelligence in marketing, there can be tons of things in artificial intelligence in marketing. Now you cannot work on artificial intelligence in marketing. You have to specify it. So that means you need to know that how many versions or dimensions or the perspectives or the classifications or the types or the areas, sub areas which actually exist under your broad selected area, right? So your area was broad, now you have to funnel this down. How do you do that? You do literature search. When you do literature search, so for instance, you go onto Google Scholar and you type in artificial intelligence in marketing. Obviously, you will get a lot many papers. Now you download those papers. When you will read those papers, it is not that the papers only says that it is about artificial intelligence in marketing. It would be touching upon a specific element or part of artificial intelligence in marketing. So when you will read through these papers, you will come to know that these are the various areas in which the artificial intelligence publication is going on. Right? So you can pen them down, you can have a list of this, right? So once you are done with this, then you would have a list of sub areas, right? You keep on making the list of this as you read on to the papers, so you will keep on adding to the list. So the examples of it can be, a while ago we were talking artificial intelligence in marketing. Now the sub areas can be that you have read 100 papers on AI in marketing and you found out that out of those 100 papers, maybe 30 are working on the tools of AI. So the tools of AI can be voice assistant is a tool of AI in marketing. So you found out that the bots are being worked on, the voice assistants are being worked on, the natural language processing is being worked on. So these are tools of AI. So this is one area. Are you getting the point? So that way you need to identify. Now that would depend upon the topic that you have had. That will depend on the interest that you have already decided. Right? So that way you have to make the sub dimensions, the sub list. This is the step number 2, sub discipline. In step number 3, you have to choose your step discipline. Step number 2, the part of step number 2 is you have to choose the sub discipline at this point. Because you've got many sub disciplines with you, now you need to know that which one should I go with. Now how do we do that? Right? This is the first question which we need to address when we are doing this exercise. This is how you can do the validation check of this, right? Are you choosing a good sub-discipline to work on? This is an important question because this is the whole exercise. We must not end up in choosing a topic which is not good, right? What the idea is to drop the bad idea as early as possible and to not drop a good idea, right? So you've got the 10 sub-disciplines in AI. You must be working on only one, but which one can it be? So you should not be ending up in doing something which is not good or which is not right. So that is why this question is important. How you can know that this sub-discipline is a good thing to work on, right? So there you can have some further steps. I have documented the 4 steps in that. What you will do is, in step number 1, when you are doing the validation check of your sub-discipline, identify the top journals in your area. Now for instance, I was talking about AI in marketing. So I can talk of computers in human behavior, International Journal of Information Management, right? I can talk of Journal of Marketing because it is publishing a lot of papers around AI nowadays, Journal of Consumer Research, Journal of Business Research. So I can identify the top journals in my area around this topic, right? So whatever is your broad interest area, you list the top journals in that area, right? And that is very easily accessible because you've got the ABDC list out, you've got the UK ABS list also available with you. And then you can also have the top journals list from the various sources. So identify the top journals from that area that you've decided. Step number 2 would be search these journals for last decade around your area. Now that can be a painstaking job, but it is something that is going to ensure that you do not end up in choosing a wrong topic or a wrong discipline. Right? So what you do is you are sitting in 2022. Now you have got this broad area. Now you've got the various sub-disciplines. Now for each sub-discipline, you might do this exercise if you want to be double or triple or 4 times sure. And you can look at this Journal of Marketing, say computers in human behavior, and you are sitting in 2022. So let us start it from 2010. Since 2010, how many papers around your sub-discipline are published in these top journals? Are you getting the point? So in these 10 years, if computers in human behavior has published say 20 articles on your sub-discipline, that is a very, very important information that you are getting out of this. Now, if you can have these 10 journals, and on these 10 journals you have done this 10 years exercise, then you will have a fair idea of what is being published around this subdiscipline, number one. You will also get an answer to this question whether anything is being published around this subdiscipline or no, it is very less or it is very minuscule, right? Then you have to make a record of this and then select the subdiscipline only and only if, after having done this exercise, select it only and only if you find papers being published around your subdiscipline, the list that you have made of these 10 years for these journals. If you found the articles around your subdiscipline, then you can go ahead with this subdiscipline. If you find increased frequency of paper in most recent period, so you are sitting in 2022, so you say that after 2020 or after 2018, the number of papers that are publishing around, say, voice assistants in marketing, they have increased. So that means what? That gives you very important first-hand information. What is that first-hand information? That the moment that the top journals are accepting publication around this area, this is 100% confirmation to the fact that this topic is live. That was the first question that we were talking about, whether the topic is important or not. We were talking about this debate of important versus interesting. So in importance, we were talking that is it live. If it is being published currently, that means it is live, right? If in most recent period the frequency is increasing, that means the scholar community is taking interest around this, and it is not only about scholar community, but it is also about these journals. You need to understand that journals are profit-making houses, right? So they need to make profits. They will not publish anything that is not selling in the market. General marketing will not publish anything which is not going to be accepted by its subscribers, right? So when they're publishing something, they know that there is a clientele to it, right? So when someone is reading my journal, so it should make sense to them. So if you are finding your subdiscipline in these journals, that means it is actually live, it is making sense, right? And that also can be extended to the point wherein we were talking about that is it going to be live for the next 5 years or 10 years? You can have a sense by looking at this, the frequency, how many papers are being published around this, when this publication started. So for instance, if I tell you about artificial intelligence marketing, it is only after 2015 that we have started seeing articles on artificial intelligence marketing. You go before 2015, there are less number of articles. I'm not saying there were no articles. There are very less number of articles. So anyone who is doing, suppose in 2017 or 2018, now he might look at that it has only been 3 years that we have started seeing the AI articles finding space in the publishing world. So that means it is a niche area and it is a new area, novel area also. So there is a life to it. It is not that no topic dies in 4 to 5 years span of time. So it takes quite amount of time before the topic is dead. So only 10 years or say 5 years under the belt, that means there is still life in this topic, right? So that way you can look at it. Drop the idea of your subdiscipline if you don't find any papers around your subdiscipline. Now it is time to repeat the process, right? So if you don't find any paper around the subdiscipline that you are feeling like that I should work on this, we have to drop it here, because that means nothing is being published on this. It is not the case that the people would not be submitting on these topics to these journals. They would be submitting, but the editors are not accepting it. They are not accepting it, that means that is not in demand. That is not in demand, that means the topic is not correct, at least by looking at the current frame of time, right? So that is a litmus test that you do. And at this point, I can caution you that don't take the risk if you are not convinced. So better it is that you do this exercise religiously, get this done, make a huge Excel sheet. It will be a heavy, bulky Excel sheet, but you will have tons of information about your entire area, about your entire subdisciplines, and you are going to be sure of. I tell you, people break their heads to walls because they can complete the PhD, but when it comes to publication, they cannot go through in any good journal because the topic is not right. So that is why it is important that your job is not only to do PhD, but it is also to be able to publish once you are done with your PhD. Your actual research life starts after your PhD. Right? So that way you have to look at it. So now till this point, we can say that now you have selected one of the sub-disciplines in your area, right? So because now you have got Excel sheet ready for all the sub-disciplines that you are having around your interest area, now you can look at that which one is getting the more papers, which one is more prevalent, which one is exciting the scholars more, and now you know that which one is best. Now you select one, the best theme out of this. Then the step number 3. Now till this point, till step number 2, you now know the sub-discipline that you are going to work on, right? Now, around that sub-discipline, now is the time to dive into the literature. Now further, again the process begins. There is no shortcut to this. Let me be very clear on this. Because by now your search was little broader. Now it is getting specific. So for instance, that if it is about voice assistance in marketing, now you try to download each and every paper which you potentially can around the area of VAs in marketing, voice assistance in marketing. So search papers, download the papers as much as possible around this sub-discipline. Make note of those that you don't have access to, because later on you can manage. And you must trace the first papers to the latest published around this sub-discipline. So which means, as I was telling you, if you would look at AI in marketing, I know that 2015 was the time when we have started seeing the papers coming around. So this is the tracing thing that we are doing. The first papers or the early papers around AI have started publishing in 2015. Now we are sitting in 2022. The latest paper obviously would be available in 2022 also, right? At this point, you can make use of the reference management tools like Mendeley. This is very handy to you, and we have discussed this. When you are doing the search, whether to identify the sub-disciplines, you can use these tools, because that you can manage the various sub-disciplines so well using these tools that it is going to save your life. You may not have idea that what this will result into, because you can look at this work that we have done in Mendeley even 10 years from now. So I was showing you the other day that for each paper you can make a folder, for each sub-discipline you can make a folder, for each sub-discipline you can make a folder. So now you know, you need not to go here and there. You just can look at your Mendeley reference management tool, and you can just look at the folder and you say that around this sub-discipline I've got say 50 papers, so 50 papers are there in my Mendeley reference management tool, right? So that is going to be very handy. So for example, it is written here that maybe the VA was the sub-discipline that you're talking about. 200 papers maybe you have downloaded, right? So extensive research you need to do. You can do that multiple ways. You can do that using Google Scholar, or you can do that using the publisher's web page also, or the specific journals also which you feel are publishing around this area, right? So exhaustive list of articles around this sub-discipline you must have with you. Once you have this exhaustive list of articles, then you have to go to step number 4, which is immersion. Immersion means getting into it, right? Drenching into it, getting more deeper into it. So you have to explore the papers in various heads. Now this is paper number 1 that you downloaded. Now you read this paper and you record the information in various heads for this paper. Now these heads can be what is the name of the paper, article name, year in which it was published, journal in which it was published, objectives, what were the objectives of this article, the findings, the gap, the methodology, author background. This is also important, and we can discuss around that also, and citations that this article has received till date, right? Now you have to explore in the sense you have to know all these things about your paper that you are reading. I am talking about one paper. When you have these things, you can transcribe that into Excel sheet by making these various heads, right? So you can make one column that says paper name, you can have year, you can have journal, objectives, findings, gap, blah blah. You can make an Excel sheet. Reading the paper carefully, you can extract the information onto that Excel sheet. So for instance, we were talking of VAs in marketing. You will have a comprehensive Excel sheet which is having information about these 200 downloaded papers, right? So when we are doing that, I can show you Excel sheet which actually is talking about this heads that I have just shared with you, right? Now let me come to this Excel sheet. Now look at this. This is the Excel sheet that you can kind of, I will be placing up this template so that you can download this. Now this is here literature exploration, right? This is the thing that I was talking about. So I am blowing it up so that you can read it carefully. Okay, so this is the paper name, for instance. So the paper is How Artificial Intelligence is Reshaping Retailing. So the second head was year. It was published in 2018. The journal that was published in Journal of Retailing, and these were the objective, right? And then you have the findings. What were the findings of this paper? And then what was the gap that this paper was addressing? So if you find that there were more than one gap that this paper was trying to address, you can list them down, as many as possible. The methodology followed, if you can get down. So for instance, this paper methodology is given that they have used PLS SEM. They have analyzed 244 survey respondents and all that. These were the authors, and there are no citations to this article as of now, right? So this is what you have to do for this thing, right? So this paper was published in Journal of Marketing Management in 2019, yet there is no citation to it. So the name of the paper was Siri, Alexa and Other Digital Assistants, a study of customer satisfaction and all, right? Likewise, you keep on making the list, right, in each and every head. So this is another paper published in 2019. This is the name of the journal. These are objectives. These are the findings, and you keep on making the list. Servant, friend, or master. The relationship users build with voice control smart devices. This is all about VAs, right? This was published in Marketing Management. So the idea is that you keep on pointing down the things whichever is available to you for the papers that you are reading, right? So that way you will see that this is becoming a heavy Excel sheet. You will have tons of data with you. If you can see, there is no other way there is no other way of doing this. You have to deep dive into the literature, right? So here I have not wrapped this text because it was taking too much of space. So just the idea is to show you that how this can potentially be done. You can keep on going down the right side, and you know that there are lot of information which is available, right? So these are the number of citations. Now this is something that we were talking about. Get these articles under these heads, right? Now coming back to our PPT. So once you are done with this, then we can go to themes, identifying the themes, right? Now, how you are going to do that? At this step, by this step, you have a huge Excel sheet available with you, which is having the data around all those heads. This is where the brainstorming starts, because there you have to think. Now you have to apply your brains. Read these articles that we are saying. Carefully read the papers across all the heads. What were the objectives, methodology followed, who were the people who have done this, citations. See which paper. Now you need to, so for instance, I was discussing with you that these 200 papers that you collected, for these 200 papers, you can see that these two papers are addressing the same thing. If you will read across all these things, you will have this sense that this paper, which is given at row number 5 in Excel sheet, is somehow addressing the same problem as it is given in row number 12. So row number 5 and row number 12 are actually addressing the same thing, right? So that matching needs to be done here. Colors are lifesavers here. You can use colors. Use colors to classify the same type of articles, right? Keep doing this for all the articles in the Excel sheet. In the end, you will have a colorful Excel sheet, right? So then you have the sub-discipline VAs in marketing. 200 papers were downloaded. All 200 papers are colored now. Now, what does that mean? That would mean that now we have this Excel sheet available with us, and this Excel sheet is now looking to be colorful, right? So you would have noticed this, that now this is blue thing. So all the blue things are addressing the same sort of thing. You can see this is red, this is green, so this is orange. Now that means this article, which is at row number 18, is different from the row number 19 article because they carry different color to it. Now this is your mind, this is your brain that you need to apply around this. Now this is grey, this is blue, so this is light blue, this is again grey, this is whatever color you may call it, this is green and all that. Now you need to do this exercise. What are you doing here? You are actually kind of clubbing the similar articles together out of your own understanding, right? So now what will happen is, you will have say 10 type of colors, you will have say 7 type of colors, 8 type of colors, we don't know unless we do not look at this whole thing, right? But you have to be a little conscious about. So if you end up in getting too many of colors, then you need to think about this again, because you cannot have 100 types of these things. So you need to see that this article actually belongs to which of these things that we are talking about, right? So this is the coloring thing that we were talking about. Now after this coloring thing, let us get back to our PPT. We go to the further understanding of that we have just done. Now when you are done with this, when you have given the colors to your Excel sheet, now you again need to do an exercise, and that exercise is that you need to look at the same color articles and you need to see that, can I give a name to this? Can it be a further niche areas? You are still working on the sub-discipline. In this sub-discipline, can you have a sub-discipline, right? Because there is one thing that is for sure, and that thing is that since these many articles are having same color, so that means they are addressing the one thing. So you can have all these articles under one theme, right? So this is what it is talking about. Overall theme you can identify, associated topics, and you can also have possible research questions and the stage of research also. This is an important thing. Now let me show you what does this mean. I am now going back to my Excel. Now let us look at this. So I am going to filtration of topic selection, which is here. You look at this. The colors that you have here, right? Now these colors have come here also. So for instance, the blue color. Now the blue color is given the name that is consumer readiness for AI. So all these papers were talking about that, how ready is consumer for the AI. All right. Now you can have associated topics also. So diffusion of AI in context of consumer. Possible research questions you can write down on the basis of your reading. Which stage of diffusion of AI we are in? What are the various challenges? Readiness and acceptance of AI, right? Then you need to, on the basis of your understanding of these articles, you need to pen down the stage of research theme or the topic in existing literature. Is it in introduction stage or growth or maturity or decline stage? So you write it is in growth stage, depending upon your reading. This evaluation you are doing, this is the brainstorming that you need to do, alright? Now let me rerun through this. You have got a colored Excel sheet, and from that colored Excel sheet, you are now making themes. The similar color things are getting plugged together. And out of that theme, you are having associated topics, and further you are filtering them down into the possible research questions. And then you are also identifying which stage of the research that it is in. It is into the introduction, growth, maturity, or decline. So you are going to pen this down, right? This is what we mean when we were talking about this slide here, all right? Now, then coming on to the next step, which is 6 and 7. So I plugged both of them because they can be plugged, so doing the similar things. Now here your interest again comes into perspective, right? Now you have done certain work till this point. You have identified the sub-disciplines, you have colored them, you have made the themes, you have made the associated topics, and you have made the possible research questions and the interest area. Now you need to self-evaluate yourself on those things. Now what does that mean is, look at your associated topics which are there, look at your focused topics also, and look at your expected contribution. These things you need to have on your Excel sheet, right? You need to give ranking to these things as per your interest. Are you getting the point? Now sub-disciplines, you have got 8 type of colors, that means you've got 8 themes. Now out of these 8 themes, again your interest. So that was consumer readiness for AI. Is it your interest? If it is, then you mark it accordingly. If it is not, then you mark it accordingly, right? So these things you need to still add to your PPT, so this Excel sheet, right? Now what does that mean? So now I am getting back to these heads, right? So your interest level, is important, the focused topic that you can potentially talk about, and the gap your proposed topic is addressing, and the expected contribution. These four heads you need to add to your Excel sheet. So now I am taking you back to the Excel sheet so that I can show you what does this mean. So in this Excel sheet now, till this point we have done the stage of research. Now this is the first thing, your level of interest, and the scale is from 1 to 5, right? So 5 being highest and 1 being lowest. So this scholar has given 5 to anthropomorphization of AI tools. So which means she has got interest into that. Now she has given 3 to this, which is prediction, or predicting the things using AI or the voice assistants in marketing. So she has given 4 to consumer market assistance, right? So now this is purely and purely on the basis of interest of the candidate, right? What you like, because ultimately you must be spending your time on something that you like. So that way you can keep on giving the scales. Now in that you can talk about focused topics that you are interested to research in. Now for instance, in 5 she wrote parasocial relationships with AI. Now this can be the focused topic that she think on that thing she can work on this, right? Now then it is not this, but you need to have another column, gap your proposed topic is addressing. So this parasocial relationship with AI, it is going to address something which actually talks about that the users of lack of user social experiences with AI. So people don't have social experiences with AI. Not study in India, moderating role of personality is not there, so that study can contribute to this part. Then you can talk of expected contribution also in 2 ways, academic contribution of this thing, and the managerial, which is this. So the managerial contribution, she wrote how the marketers in designing AI tools helps the marketers to know why they can derive consumer happiness and blah blah, right? So this is the last sheet, final topic selection, not to be filled now. Now don't fill this, right? You do this for everything. You do this for everything. Only then you will be able to evaluate which one is better and which one is your interest in, right? Which one you should go ahead with, and what is the focused topic that you can potentially talk about when you are talking on this, right? So when you will be done with this, then you are actually doing the step number 6 and 7. Now coming back to PPT, now you have to choose the topic. So you are almost there. So do it yourself. Choose the theme and associated theme as per your evaluation and ranking. You yourself has given the ranking. Select the best ranked theme, research question and focus topic, and phrase the topic, right? Here you might need assistance of someone whom you think can help you. It may be your supervisor, it may be your senior, it may be your senior scholar, it may be your previous professor, or it may be someone from industry. It can be anyone. So here expert sense are required. So you would see that in the Excel sheet the last column was left blank because it was written that note to select now. Now you further kind of get the feedback from the experts. Don't finalize it by yourself. Discuss your work with someone who is an expert, maybe your teacher or senior, it can be anyone. Right? And then once you are done, you are actually home. That topic you can finalize, and you must give compliments for the work that you have done. And if you can do this, the filtrations of the final wordings of the topic can happen anytime. But if you can do it to this point, then it would be like you are now with the topic, which is potentially a good topic to work on. This is the focused topic to work on, and then you can further kind of filter it down by sitting with someone. The words can be framed, the words can be rephrased also, right? So that way you can actually talk about this.